Hi everyone, my name is Priya and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm painting a scene for Halloween 2023 and I wanted to create something that had a Halloween feel to it, but something a bit more simple and not too many different elements included. So I started off with a graphite sketch in my sketchbook. I am using my watercolor sketchbook and I was going to include the sign that says this way, but later on when I start painting, I have decided to change that and I painted over it and I just included the tree. Also the sign that's on the tree that says trick or treat, I actually changed that to this way, and because I did remove the sign saying this way. So I wanted this painting to be very simple. So I started off with just painting in the moon with a color of the moon, as well as I'm just adding a sort of a beige for the moon, and then I'm adding the shadow areas on the moon that you have those shadowy patches. And then I went in with Prussian blue and I just painted that over the entire page. So that is painted in a diluted form. I've used water with the gouache paint. I am using gouache paint for this painting. So I'm just using that diluted to create this wash of color over the entire page. That's just to create my accent color for this piece, because I wanted this piece to look like a nighttime scene with this blue glow on everything, and the lighting is also very dim, and the trees or the forest that's going to come in the distance is going to be in the glow of the moon, and there's going to be this blue color over everything. Silhouettes of the trees are also going to be a blue color, so it's going to be very Halloween like ness. It's going to have this creepiness of Halloween night, with the silhouettes of the trees cast in the moonlight, and then the trees also having this the barks all, or the branches all creeping out around the moon or in front of the moon, and you're going to see that, and the silhouettes will just be highlighted by the moon. And that's what I wanted to go for the look of this piece. And I also went in and added just two bats on top of the moon, so that you can see them flying past the moon. And then I went into the foreground and I started painting in the tree in the extreme foreground, and that tree had a lot more detail and a lot more pigment to it. I added more pigment because I wanted it to be more saturated than the trees in the distance, because the trees closer to the viewer are going to be more detailed. You're going to see more, be able to see more details, as well as there's going to be a lot of you're going to see some car shadows as well. So I'm just adding those now to the tree and the branches, just to create that more three-dimensional look for this particular tree, as well as the other tree on the right hand side. I did the same for that one and added some details to it. So I'm just marking off the pathway where it's going to go with some burnt umber, just so that I know that that's where the pathway is going to be leading into the forest. Now I'm also adding a layer of the burnt umber over the blue for the trees in the foreground. The reason for doing this is that I want to create a three-dimensional look. Also, you will have the moonlight and the light from the jack-o'-lantern. So it's going to be, I am going to add the highlights later onto the trees, but I am wanted to look sort of like, you can see the color of the tree. They are these brown trees, but at the same time you got that blue glow from the scene, so that everything looks cohesive and set in. If I just painted the trees brown and then the background trees blue, or the foreground trees only brown, it's going to really stand out and not blend in with the background or its environment. So I want everything to blend in with its environment. So yeah, painting the jack-o'-lantern, I started painting it just overall I painted the entire pumpkin in orange. I painted the little stem on top of it of the pumpkin with a green or two color greens. I added the shadows, and then I also used a darker orange with a hint of brown mixed in it, just to create a shadow, or the shadow areas of the pumpkin, as well as then I went in with some black to add the borders of the outlines for the mouth, nose and eyes of the jack-o'-lantern. And then I also added some black writing to the sign that says this way. And then I'm also I've added some black to the mouth area of the jack-o'-lantern, as well as the eyes. And then I decided that this way was not looking the way I wanted it to, so I just wiped it off and then repainted it again. I added more shadows to the jack-o'-lantern, a really dark color around it, just to create that really deep shadows, which makes it look more three-dimensional. And then now I'm just going over the ground area and getting coverage for the entire ground area where the jack-o'-lantern is placed, as well as the background as well. I'm also adding some of the grass and plants that are growing in the background or in the foreground of the scene. I'm just adding that with some Prussian blue, and then also just adding a bit more blue to the trees as well. And that's just to make everything look cohesive, because if I just left the ground being brown without any hint of blue or any color of blue, it's going to look like it's not blending into its surroundings, and I wanted everything to blend in. So I'm just basically painting in the ground area, alternating between the brown, burnt umber, and the Prussian blue. And I'm just painting in that color because that gives a glow. The blue helps to create that glow of the light from the moon, and then the brown obviously helps to create that look of the ground area and the sandy areas of the ground as well. And the unevenness and the pressure of the brush strokes helps to create that texture of the ground and make it look uneven and look more realistic. Now I'm just painting over the pathway and just adding some blue to it as well. And now I want to add a bit of highlights to the trees and to the pumpkin for the light, but I am going to come in and tone these down once they dry. I just wanted to lay them all in, but I am going to tone it down. I don't want it to be so stark white. It needs to be a bit more subtle. So now I'm just going into the background and alternating between the blue as well as the brown, just to create that look of the ground, as I said, and also to create some shadows and darker areas and lighter areas where the moonlight is shining through, just to create that sort of a variation of textures and colors. And then yeah, this is where I just was touching up the sign that says this way, and then I just went in again and just touched up the jack-o'-lantern, and then I started adding a bit more of the glow from the light of the jack-o'-lantern onto the ground as well as on the tree. And also you'll be able to see a bit more with the jack-o'-lantern being right next to the tree. So I'm adding some of the moss areas and grass that's around the tree. I'm making them a bit more green so that you can see that they are green, because obviously the jack-o'-lantern is lighting up that area, so you're going to have some of that light on the ground and the surrounding objects, which would be the tree on the side. So I guess that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it inspiring and helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and share. Feel free to comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Till the next one. Bye.